best experience I've ever had in Kendo. Kendo is a sport in which the objective is not simply to defeat your opponent, but also to train your own mind.
Well, you've seen the basic techniques now, but there are some more advanced techniques as well. And these students are going to show us one of those now. They're going to give us a demonstration of a technique called Men Kaishi Do. Men is the head, Kaishi is to counter, and Do is the body or trunk. So this is when one of the fighters is trying to hit the other one's head, and then they deflect that and counter to the body. Yo, onegaishimasu. As you can see, Kendo is a pretty demanding discipline, which is quite natural when you consider that it derives from the combat between samurai warriors whose lives depended on the mastery of these techniques. Of course, there's no actual killing in Kendo, but the mindset is very much kill or be killed. Let's go on now and take a look at how Kendo came about in the first place.
Up to the start of the 17th century, Japan was ravaged by civil war, with regional warlords fighting to expand their power. For the samurai of that time, the way they handled their spears and swords was a matter of life or death. After the Tokugawa shoguns unified Japan and established peace, there were few opportunities for samurai to test their swordsmanship in real combat situations. During this period, master swordsmen appeared who elevated their practice to a higher level. For them, spirit was just as important as technique, and they established a code of ethics that samurai should live by. One of these master swordsmen was Miyamoto Musashi, who lived in the 16th and 17th centuries. In his youth, Musashi fought more than 60 one-on-one duels and was never defeated. Musashi is also famous for writing the Book of Five Rings, in which he laid out his philosophy not just for fighting but also for living. His words had a profound influence on later generations of swordsmen and the world of Kendo. In daily life, just as on the battlefield, you must never lose your spiritual equilibrium, Musashi wrote. You should cultivate a mentality that allows you to stay alert, whatever the situation, so your spirit remains undisturbed either by tenseness or being too relaxed. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Perseverance in training is essential. Be better today than you were yesterday, and then strive to become better still. Cultivate unwavering self-discipline. Musashi taught the importance of always remaining calm and making efforts to improve yourself every day. The spirit of Musashi and the great swordsman has been passed down through succeeding generations. One man who kept this spirit alive was Moriji Mochida, who came to be known as the supreme swordsman of the 20th century. He continued training in his dojo until he died at the age of 89. This is what he said about the way of the sword. I spent 50 years mastering the basics of Kendo. Once I turned 50, my real training started. I began practicing Kendo with my spirit. When I turned 60, my legs started to get weaker, so I focused on making my spirit more active. After I turned 70, I began training my spirit to remain still. Once the spirit is calm, it becomes a mirror that reflects your opponent's spirit. For Mochida, Kendo was all about the spirit. To this day, the spiritual aspect of swordsmanship remains vibrant in Kendo. Here, practitioners are taking the test to achieve the rank of 8th Dan, the highest level in Kendo. Today, about 500 people in all of Japan hold this rank. You're only allowed to take the test if you've held the rank of 7th Dan for at least 10 years and are still in training. Many of those taking this test are over 70 years old. In this examination, you're tested not only for the excellence of your technique, but also your character. What's being judged is whether mind and technique are in unison as each blow is struck. Those who pass the practical exam then take a written test. On this occasion, they have to answer the following question. There is a teaching that says your sword is your mind. Write about this on the basis of your own ideas and actual Kendo practice. Only those who have attained a supreme level of technique, experience and character are awarded an 8th Dan in Kendo. Techniques originally honed as combat training for survival on the battlefield were elevated to the level of a spiritual discipline. This is the origin of Kendo, a martial art with a proud 400-year tradition.
Musashi also wrote that when watching to see how an opponent's going to come at you, don't look at movements of specific parts of the body, like the feet, hands, shoulders or face. What he meant was that you're not to look at outward movement, but rather cultivate a way of looking with your spirit. According to Musashi, that's the way to become an expert swordsman. In all martial arts, the training of your own spirit is considered more important than defeating an opponent. Next, we're going to take a look at the story of a young Kendo practitioner who has a physical disability, but is second to none in the way that he's honed his spirit and become an elite swordsman.
The Kendo Club at Osaka University of Health and Sports Sciences is one of the strongest in the country. It has produced a number of winners of the National Collegiate Championships. One of the members of the club has only one arm. His name is Toshimitsu Takamiya. Takamiya's dream is to fight in the national tournament. For the first time, he's been selected for the regional qualifying event. There are no special rules in Kendo for people with handicaps, so Takamiya has relied on his own individual strategies and hard work. He adopts a stance that allows him to make swift downstrokes with his shinai. He has also perfected his own unique style of attacking. Just before he strikes, Takamiya shifts his grip on the shinai hilt. By moving his hand closer to the guard, he can swing faster and strike at his opponent's wrist. This is his signature technique. Even when he's at home, he practices in his room. He swings a wooden sword that weighs twice as much as his usual bamboo shinai. This helps to build up his arm muscles. Takamiya lost his arm in an accident when he was just 1 year old. In his first year of primary school, he was introduced to Kendo. By training twice as hard as everyone else, he rose to become prefectural champion in his 4th year of school. And in secondary school, he was one of the top 4 in the whole prefecture. I never, ever think to myself that I would be better at Kendo